Hello, Tubaneros. It looks like the forces of peace, freedom, and the rule of law, are ramping up for another war of aggression, pardon moi, humanitarian intervention, into the proxy war against the Syrian government. Uprising against the regime. The U.S. under Barack Obama has been playing a coy, Woodrow Wilson-esque wait-and-see game, holding back in the name of peace, as opposed to its rabid dogs of war allies France, Italy, and Israel, waiting to be convinced of use of chemical weapons by the Syrian government before it commits itself to action. I said it again, I meant regime. Having tasted Gaddafi's flesh, the Western war dogs are drooling for more fresh Muslim halal meat. But they won't commit their own skins unless they can be sure the U.S. will step in to bear most of the cost and supply the diplomatic cover and military hardware. U.S. contractors, meanwhile, are frothing at the chops for another round of revenue-sucking contracts. There won't be enough tax dollars to pay flight controllers, or send your kids to school, or keep your grandmother alive, but there'll be plenty to shovel into thieving contractors making billions reconstructing someone else's nation blown up by Western force projection, including the devastation wrought by pro-Western proxies. I know what the motive here is, to intervene so that Islamic militants don't take over the country, so that allies we trust, in Senator John McCain's words, meaning flunkies, prevail in the ongoing civil strife. You Bodads wouldn't have had to worry about it if you'd kept your grubby fingers out of it in the first place, because you thought it was going to be another cheap win for the forces of democratization, a Twitter revolution with its appropriate color scheme, with thousands of consumer-addicted third-world college kids speaking scholarship English, massing in the streets to bring down yet another evil regime, opening the door for Western alliance. But it didn't work that way. Assad Jr. took the Tiananmen route, like Deng Xiaoping. Back in 1989, there wasn't much you could really do about it, or you really had to say. But Deng was one of your boys, wasn't he? The great reformer who opened his country up to you like a willing lotus blossom, so you just swallowed the blood in the name of globalization and good business. But times have changed. There's no global balance of power, as there was in the summer of 1989. Now, you can do pretty much as you please. Only sometimes it just won't go according to the script, will it? So now there's the contra option. Clandestine arming of pro-U.S. insurgents, a propaganda blitz in the servile media, making them the equivalent of our founding fathers again, mobilizing human rights organizations to blow up every atrocity fed them by activists, whose credibility is as low as any charges produced by anyone's security police. But accuracy doesn't matter, in the media or anywhere else. I'm sure Assad would be accused of spiking babies or throwing them out of incubators if these yarns hadn't been spun one time too many. The heart of the accusation in readying the war dogs is the ricin charge that Assad may have twice used said chemical agent in field operations against insurgent forces. Interesting that this charge comes right after another, a charge of a ricin-laced letter sent to the White House, raising the question of was there any such letter, or was it another manufactured step of preparation in the war of terror, the war on terror. Convenient also is another terror attack within the U.S. homeland, calls to do something, to avenge American blood by spilling that of some raghead Muslim somewhere, echo across the fruited plains from sea to shining sea. So there's no question that imperial war will come to Syria. I predict a direct arming of chosen insurgent groups, a strong-armed UN agreeing to it, with dire warnings against Iran, Russia, and China not to intervene. The irony there, with direct NATO air and ground involvement to mop up after the rebels have more or less destroyed the Syrian state and economy as a functioning national organism. And as usual, you are helpless to stop it, to stop your blood and treasure from being flushed down the gutters of empire as your own society crumbles around you from deliberate neglect and defunding. What a convenient way to keep budget sequesters from attacking the real source of government waste, the military contractor complex that's been the real backbone of the U.S. economy for 70 friggin' years. Oh, who's this now? Eric Holder? Jenna Napolitano? Robert Mueller? Hello? Who? Saddam Hussein? You didn't let Augusto Pinochet beat you at pinochle in hell, did you? He's like Hitler. You know he's going to cheat. So, what's up? You just want these viewers to know it's the same old story from a decade ago, and you see right through it? Well, you don't need a perch on the gallows to perceive that. It's plain to everyone, and the Western media fools no one except maybe itself. But don't worry, they made a Palestinian refugee their martyred savior a long time ago, and they're still at it. The blood of the Middle East still washes away all Western crimes.